of things. In the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, our #1 priority is keeping the community safe, and oftentimes that involves criminal investigations and dealing with dangerous offenders. But that's not the end of the scope. The scope is much broader, and because we cover such a significant surface area in our community, there are a lot of issues that we encounter. And as you know, yesterday we had a gentleman who fell into what was about a 100-foot hole and was there for a few days before a Good Samaritan identified that that person was there and came for help. So at about 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon, we received the call, and our deputies responded, as well as our technical assistance posse. And everyone arrived on scene and was able to basically begin the efforts to the extraction about 4 o'clock. And by about 7 o'clock last night, they were able to safely extract the gentleman who had sustained numerous injuries, which we'll cover with you. But ultimately, the actions of the folks standing here with me and many others who are not present saved a life yesterday in a very challenging circumstance that had incredibly dangerous dynamics. So my only reason for speaking to you right now is just to give the credit and the recognition and to express gratitude for the exceptional work that was done yesterday. I do want to touch on the uniqueness of the relationship of what is one MCSO. You know, one MCSO, when we started talking about this, was a way to ensure that everyone in the organization recognized that we have civilian staff and detention staff and deputies who all work together to provide public safety. But one MCSO is also the volunteer posses who work every day in unique capacities to support and extend our ability to provide services for the community. And that's what the technical assistance posse does. They are exceptionally trained in rescues. They are exceptionally talented, and they are exceptional people because they are willing to volunteer their time to partner and oftentimes lead the effort in a rescue like yesterday. So really my intent here again is to hand it off to them, let them talk to you about what it's like to be in that circumstance, to recognize that a person under that type of duress in a dangerous situation not only needs to be extracted, but needs to have that level of comfort while they are still confined, that the people who are looking after them know what they're doing and are exceptional at what they do, and it's just a matter of time before they bring them out of that place into a safe place. So with me I have Deputy John Kelly, who's assigned to Lake Patrol, and he actually leads the search and rescue team for the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. I have Heather Zunino here with me, and she's a rescue technician assigned to the Technical Assistance Posse, and Roger Jensen, who is the commander. So again, my intent is to express gratitude that I am blessed and fortunate to be able to stand here as a sheriff in front of those who really do the job, and thank them for the exceptional job they did yesterday to save a life. But with that, I think I'd like to turn it over to Deputy Kelly and allow him to speak about what they experienced yesterday and the success in the operation. So thank you very much. This is Deputy John Kelly.
Good afternoon. At 1 o'clock, as the sheriff said, we received the call of a subject down a 100-foot mine shaft. The responding deputies immediately realized, along with the fire department out there, that they did not have the abilities to extricate that subject. They asked for search and rescue. I called out the mountain rescue posse. They are very dedicated and highly skilled posse. They handle all of our high angle, low angle, confined space technical rescues. They responded with 15 personnel. I basically told them where our guy was. We devised a plan that kept everyone safe, and they put their equipment together and executed the plan. They can speak more to the actual systems they assembled or constructed to get that done.
Good afternoon. My name is Roger Jensen. I'm a commander with Mountain Rescue Posse. 15 members responded from our group to effect a rescue. The gentleman that fell in the shaft was approximately 100 feet deep. The diameter was about 8 to 10 feet across, all the way throughout the entire length of the shaft. The bottom of it was rocky, had some debris, but otherwise didn't really pose any other significant hazards. Several of us rolled in on, we flew out on Fox 1. We were able to get on and get out there and get an early assessment done. We started to build some systems, some anchors, to be able to kind of set up and start working through the problem of how to get the gentleman out of the hole. As we set up our systems, we not only kind of worked on a plan A, but we developed a plan B and a plan C. So as we were building all of these systems, we were really thinking about anything that could possibly go wrong and how to mitigate that. So we executed on that plan, and we're safely able to evacuate the man from the hole and transfer him to the medevac crew, who were able to then fly him over to definitive care. So, Heather, do you want to jump in and talk a little bit about her training?
Sure. So we have lots of different. Oh, okay. Heather Zunino, Zunino. I'm a rescue technician 1, and Mountain Rescue does a lot of different types of training. We do alpine, we do technical rock, search, we do swift water and underground, which is what we used yesterday and last night. We train in all different types of environments and in such a way that when all of these unique missions come about, we can adapt and come up with a safe extrication method so that we're keeping the patient as comfortable as possible and also keeping all of our team members safe.
I'm sure you have many questions, and we'll refer those to the appropriate folks who can answer them here. But I just want to reinforce this. As many of you know, the posse has been a big part of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, and with that, there have been some questions or concerns relative to the operations of the posse and the appropriateness. This is the perfect example of expertise by volunteers who want to be a member of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office and extend our ability to provide public safety. So in these partnerships here, to, as I said earlier, to extend the MCSO family in a way that we bring exceptional people in with exceptional skills is the difference maker in challenging circumstances. So we're really proud to stand here and to recognize the posse members and the volunteers as part of the organization. But what questions do you have, and we'll make sure the right people answer those questions for you.
What attracted him to the mine to begin with?
Go ahead.
So the gentleman actually owned and operated the property. He's, from what I understand it, had worked that property for the last 20 years.
Did he slip and fall? Is that how you understand it?
No, so he wanted to explore the shaft. From what we understand, he actually erected that derrick, the metal structure that was over that shaft, within the last week. And so he put that in place so that he could lower himself down by rope and start, exploring and determining, what he wanted to do with that. From what we understand, he just lost the ability to control the friction on the descent down the rope. So he did, just had a kind of accelerated lowering at some point in the 100-foot shaft.
We know that there was a Good Samaritan that found him. How were you able to indicate that he was actually down there? Was he yelling up, or were you able to hear him?
Yeah, the gentleman reported that he knew that if he didn't show up by Tuesday night, he was going to go out there Wednesday and check on him. As soon as he drove up to the shaft, he heard his friend calling from the bottom of the shaft, and he could hear him audibly.
Would you talk about the injuries?
Not sure about the injuries. What we encountered was lower leg injuries. That would be consistent with some type of fracture or sprain. So we splinted that in place. Certainly had some signs and symptoms of dehydration. But other than that, he was in good spirits and seemed to be appropriately answering questions.
Are you the rescuer who was the first one to go down and make contact with him?
The rescuer that went down is not here today. I oversee the operation, so the operation falls under my responsibility, but unfortunately he couldn't be here today.
How did you go about going into to save this man? Because you have to be very careful to make sure when you're going down to make sure it doesn't collapse. So how do you guys go about going into that?
Yeah, so we have a very detailed policy and procedure. It's a risk analysis that we perform at every one of our scenes. It takes some time to work through that. We want to make sure we mitigate all the risk. The number one risk in this situation is edge. We don't want the rocks falling down on top of the person that we're trying to go down and rescue. So we're very, very careful to move very cautiously and with purpose at the edge of the mine shaft to not cause anything to fall in. Many other risk factors there, but that's the primary one.
In terms of communication, was this a matter of just yelling down, and I'm thinking 100 feet, that is a long way, or were they communicating on their cell phone?
We were able to establish voice contact, but the early officers that arrived on scene were able to drop a two-way radio to them, so they were able to communicate with a little bit easier over the two-way radio.
Which of you two had the most contact with him?
I did.
Can you tell us any more about what did he say as this rescue's happening?
He was very calm. You know, we check on his vital signs every 5 minutes, so we're constantly interacting with him just to check and see, you know, how's he medically, and you know, very favorable vital signs throughout the entire operation. He was in good spirits. He was happy to see everybody there. He was very thankful for us and what we did. At the very end, when we brought him out of the hole, he just commented on how smooth it was, and just, you know, really thanked us for the effort to get him out of that situation.
You said that he was dehydrated, but how much longer could he have been in that condition that he was in?
Well, it depends on somebody's will to live and how much they want to press on. So every situation is different. It's difficult to answer that question.
What was the biggest challenge for search and rescue on this, and how did you overcome that challenge?
You know, the biggest challenge on that particular situation was the size of the mine shaft. It was pretty wide-mouthed. And then the derrick that was the metal structure that was over the hole, definitely presented some concern. We really had to do some risk analysis on that to determine if we were going to use it or not. Ultimately, we did use it, and it helped us, you know, effect the rescue safely and in the safest way that we possibly could have done that.
How did he deal with those rattlesnakes? There were, what, 2 or 3? How did he deal with them?
I'm not sure. You'd have to ask that of the person that we rescued. We didn't encounter any snakes when we entered the mine shaft, so whatever he had dealt with, he did before we arrived.
Will the mine shaft continue to be open for others to go and try doing the same?
It's his private property, so it is posted. I can report that, you know, the shaft has fencing around it. There's signs, all the appropriate safety precautions, I think, to you know, prevent public from going in has been taken care of.
Say a couple more, and then we're.
What was this experience like for you?
It definitely, you know, very technical, very challenging operation. So we approach it very carefully, very cautiously. We just take our time to make sure that we're doing it correctly and we're not going to cause any injury, any safety issues. The biggest thing is just tuning out everybody that wants to go fast and making sure that we're doing all of the steps that we need to do. We monitor the air quality as we lower people into the hole. We have all of our processes and procedures in place to make sure that nobody else gets hurt. So it's just sticking to the policies to make sure that we don't deviate from those and that everybody goes home safe.
And is there anything that he said that has kind of just like stuck with you? Anything that he might have told you as you were talking to him?
Just the gratitude for the rescue. He was very happy to see us, and as well as his friend, and he thanked his friend for being there to save him and to make sure that he called for help.
Do you know anything about this mine, of how old it might have been, or?
I do not.
How many times has your team had to do this type of rescue?
Abandoned mine shafts or active mine shafts, we average about one of these about every 12 to 16 months. Luckily, the message for the public is, you know, stay out, stay alive. For the most part, I think people listen to that message and want to stay out of these dangerous situations. So the State Mine Inspector's Office does a good job of promoting that safety message, and I think that's something the viewers should take heed today. If they see a mine shaft, they should stay away from those. Definitely don't get close to them. The chances of the ground caving in or giving way underneath their feet, very, very, very high probability, so it's just best to stay away from those and avoid the curiosity.
How lucky is this individual to be alive?
I think he's a very, very fortunate individual. Everything worked out in a very favorable way for him.
How big was your crew that was in the search and rescue?
We totaled 30 members, and we had about half of them respond to the mission.
Would you recommend anyone who is going to go into a mine to do what this gentleman did? To tell a friend? Because his friend checked up on him if he didn't show up. Would you recommend someone tell it?
Yeah, so I would caution, we wouldn't recommend anybody go into a mine, but yeah, anybody going out into the outdoors or where they're going to be alone and not have anybody around to help them or back them up. That includes hiking trips in the mountains. File a trip plan with somebody, a family member or relative, and let them know where you're going to be and what time you think you'll be back. If you go past that time, give them the permission to call 911 and to effect help to come and help them out.
Again, thank you very much for being here. Obviously, you can see this was a very unique and challenging occasion, but I can't express my gratitude enough for the team and express my pride in the Sheriff's Office and moments such as these when we're able to do something special to save a life out there. So thank you guys for supporting this opportunity.
Can you get the spelling of Roger's last name? Because I'm trying to read it and I can't.
Y-E-N-S-E-N.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take that time to come upstairs.
Yeah.